In this video, we're going to go through one of the core flows in our system, which is building out a make item and its routing. The make item and its routing ultimately defines the full set of materials and work steps or operations that it takes to go make a part. Now, you can see here, we'll go ahead and select parts of this assembly. This assembly obviously made out of 3 parts, each with their own set of steps. And then there's some assembly required after that. So you can see, we're actually gonna go ahead and make a new version of our receiver nut, because you can see this one is actually quite inefficient in how we do it, because this was assuming only a 3-axis mill and a relatively normal 2-axis lathe. However, we're actually gonna go ahead and design this to use a newer live tooling lathe, which will drastically cut down on some of these operations. So you can duplicate parts, and that might be a decent place to start, but given how different this is going to be, we're just going to start all the way out from the new make item screen. So we're going to go ahead and here, say SP handguard, handguard receiver nut live tooling. And from here, we'll kind of go top to bottom. So just to kind of explain some what we call item maturity states, we start out with most items in draft. So draft is a great state for things to be in if it's really just the first time you're making something, if you're kind of just jotting down some ideas for the purpose of coding, or something like that. First article, or first run, as some people refer to it as, is sort of an indication that it's going to be our first time making that item, and that we should pay extra special attention to everything going on in the shop floor. And then production, obviously that's the status we use if something is mature, and we should just continue making it the way we know how. And there's another toggle up here to mark something as tooling. Tooling could be used for something like a set of soft jaws, or a fixture plate, anything like that. And turning on that tooling toggle will actually change how these items get consumed when used in other routings. So for example, if you made a set of soft jaws, those would continue to live in your inventory and you wouldn't be triggered to remake them even if routings would require them. So we're going to go ahead, start here in the draft state. And you'll see here we have a number of different fields that we can fill in. Obviously the SKU field, that's one that a lot of customers really take full advantage of. In this case, we're going to make it HG. Oh, there we go. Autofill is filling in nicely for us, and we're going to make this the live tooling version. A quick note on name and SKU fields. The item name field is forced to be unique in the system. The SKU field is not. We've considered making both unique, but right now that's the current behavior. Default storage location, that's if we're storing this item. This is more relevant for, again, those smaller OEMs we referred to. We don't have any of these in stock right now, and we'll go ahead and not worry about pricing quite yet, and just go ahead and start adding operations. So before, obviously, we were cutting it. So comparing to our old routing here, we were first cutting it into these blocks, then we were turning the internal threads, then we're doing our 4th axis operations, and then going ahead, parting and chamfering, and then drilling. Now, most of that we can all do in one setup now, but we will still need to go through and cut at least some stock. Our particular lathe is going to allow us to do 3-foot bar pulls. So we'll say saw cut to 36-inch sticks for lathe. And we'll make that the saw process. You can also add any other processes you have here. And we'll go ahead and say that the setup time for that saw, really not much to do there, but let's give it 5 minutes for our guys to set up the auto saw. And then a runtime, I mean, we'll just set that to a minute just for estimation's sake per cut that we're doing. and our saw we're going to run at a rate of maybe $30 an hour. You can also set these rates as default in the settings. We just haven't done it on this account yet. And input items, obviously we're going to take in, I believe this is made out of the 2-inch OD bar stock, basically this. This is actually 2.5 inches, but we'd want to make it out of 2. And obviously cutting to 36 inches is going to require 36 inches of material, and we're going to output one stick that's ready for live tooling. Obviously, adding in any notes, we can kind of format this however we'd like. Go ahead and make this red, cut to 36-inch bars, keep ends clean, and debird for saw for bar pull operation. So we can go and do that. There's also documentation that's associated with this process. Nothing in there right now. Go ahead and add our second operation, and this will be quite the fun one. This will just be main. We'll just call this the main lathe op, and go ahead and we could set this to the lathe, but actually since this is a bit more of a specialized thing, we're actually going to go ahead and duplicate this here and add a new process. We're going to set that also to lathe group. We're going to call this live tooling, or turning with live tooling. And the hourly rate for that particular group is actually going to be significantly, we're going to charge a little more for that, just because parts will run so much quicker in that machine. All right. And now setup time for that's obviously going to be maybe a little bit more. So we're going to set that to 30 minutes of setup time, and we'll set the run time. Let's say it takes 2.5 minutes per part, so 2 minutes 30 seconds, and we'll go ahead and pull in that 150 that we just set. No notes here, but a lot of people do go ahead and add their cam files, so we can do that. Actually, what I'm going to go ahead and do is add the drawing file to the part itself. So if we go ahead and add the STL file of that part here, just so our engineers can pick it up and actually go ahead and program this. So you'll see all that's put in here. We'll go ahead and confirm. And now we've actually made a new routing for this part, and we can start testing this out. And if we want, this can become the new default that we end up using in that assembly. So that's just a brief overview of how to make a routing. Obviously, you can go much deeper in building these out. You can connect multiple make items together. So actually, if we wanted to, we can go into that main assembly. Let's say we've proven out that that's the part and how we want to make it. Actually go in that routing. We can go edit this, look at that routing, take out the old receiver nut, and add in this new one we just made. Go ahead and search for that, add that in, make one of these, go ahead and save that. And now that new one's going to get used in that routing. I actually just noticed we don't have a image for this one yet, so we're going to go ahead and upload that here. Let's see, that's a good one to use. And that will put that preview image throughout the app. So if we go back here to the assembly, refresh that page, you'll see it's pulled in that preview image down here in the routing. So that's a very quick overview of how to make a very basic routing and how to edit some other ones. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one.